All right, we ready to rock and roll. I think we are ready to rock and roll now. Brent was a little bit late, so we're gonna find him $1. Wes hit the button. I had no clue he hit the button, so we are we are rocking and rolling. It's interesting with these rankings. Every week we get more and more detail. I think we get more and more insight to what the committee's thinking. You now have a new committee chair. Remember Mac Rhodes? He jumps in or jumps out because of whatever circumstances were going on with him. And so he changes. And now you got Juracek, who is the Arkansas AD, who's now filling that spot. And so I think the most telling thing is always once you get past the reveal and all that good stuff that goes on, then you get to hear his comments and quotes. And I think it's something to consider because now we know how they're thinking, what's important, what's not important. So I think the biggest thing that we talked about on the show was the top was pretty simple. And I thought the top was pretty simple for the committee, and they went Ohio State again. They went Indiana 2. They went A&M 3. They went Georgia 4. Makes sense. Georgia was at 5. Makes sense to slide them up. Then it was the debate to me between we talked about with Texas Tech and Ole Miss. And I thought it was going to be Texas Tech because of circumstance. They went with Texas Tech. If they went with Ole Miss, not criminal. I don't think I wouldn't have been offended. I know some people would have been upset. But I definitely wasn't upset with that. And then we got into the meat of the discussion. This is where we talked about, like, we gave you 7 through 10, and we're like, you have at it. Like, make your case why it shouldn't happen. And the way they chose to go was Oregon 7. Then they went Oklahoma 8, Notre Dame 9, Alabama 10, Miami 11. And then we got the spin the wheel of destiny, and you get good old Tulane in there. Even though their coach, which was a great quote, their coach was like, Coach Summerall was like, man, I don't think we're a top 25 team. We're a top 25 team. We're not going to be ranked. Nah, we're not a top 25 team. So that rounds out the playoffs. And then you got the first team out was BYU. Next team out was Utah, which is fantastic for the Big 12. Absolutely fantastic to be ranked there. Brent, when you start looking at this, the first thing that stands out to me is Alabama's losses were more impactful than anything else. And how you determine this with the coaches, or how they determine it with the committee is their decision. But Oregon immediately goes to 7. So that it has nothing to do with Oregon wins. If it was Oregon wins, then Oregon would not be there. Oregon would not be at 7. So the committee immediately is saying, okay, they only have one loss. That matters. And so one loss, they were ahead of all the other 2 loss teams, moved to the top. Despite the resume, we hear about strength of record. We hear about all of that different stuff that comes into play. To me, it looked like a simple case of, okay, they've got one loss. We're putting them ahead of all the teams with 2 losses.
Yep. And that's where so much of this becomes gray, but also maybe clear for them. And if you're someone moving forward and a team moving forward, and you see this time after time after time, it's like, okay, it's better to have one loss than have a monster schedule and drop another one. Like it just ends up being better. But yep. The Alabama Notre Dame debate, because Oklahoma should definitely be up there ahead of them, and we had them ahead of them as well. But then, it's one of those things where I also don't pay a whole lot of attention to it and the comments and all that, just because they talk over themselves and they contradict themselves with everything that they say. It seems like the person who's doing the interviewing there with losses.
And let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. They do that because you got a guy standing up there that's talking to you about all of this detail. But it might not be what he believes, because this committee chair represents the whole committee. So right. He might have been one fighting for Alabama to be at 7. But the way the committee voted, the Alabama's at 10. So he's got to stand up there and define it. And at one point he goes, hey, Alabama's not running the ball real well. They haven't ran it well for the last couple weeks, and which means, hey, like, at least they're watching. That's a talking point. because it's a talking point for us. To me, it's
Yeah.
why their offense hasn't gone to the next level. Their offense is really, really good. It would be nuclear if they could run the ball. Like, it
Yes.
would be absolutely unstoppable. And then you protect your offensive line. Like, everything would kind of to fall into place. So they're at least watching and there's talking points. But he
I
said,
wish they
like,
would have like their actual metrics and where these teams are in their actual metrics. Like, to me, like with college basketball, like when we do that thing, we're always looking, and they've got on the record against this RPI, all the various quad one wins, all that. It's all on the screen, and like they're showing it. I wish they would do that here and be very transparent with it versus just hey, here it is, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think there's
Notre Dame
so
versus
much.
Alabama, though. What do you think there?
Well, I mean, I had Notre Dame above them, so like I was in the camp with them. Now, why they say like I don't mention I think Notre Dame's. I'm not mentioning losses unless there's a reason to mention losses. Notre Dame's losses, they very easily could have beat A&M. If you watch the football game, they had them beat. They missed an extra point. Like, it was a bad deal. Like, who knows what would have happened. The Miami game, again, we talked about it. Like, first half, new QB, handcuffs fully on. Like, I just think there is some circumstances there. I was moving past Alabama's loss to FSU with the first week, and because of what they had put together, now you put together another loss. Like, they're both 2-loss teams. One has a huge loss. Now, one has a way bigger resume. So which one do you deem more important? Is it what you've done on the field and who you've beaten according to your rankings? Or is it the way it's looked and the way you lost? And they said it's the way you lost. Like, having less losses matter. And here's what else matters: having closer losses. That's what, to me, that's what it seems like they're looking at. Like, not all circumstances are going to be the same. But I can look at Notre Dame unbiasedly, and I can say Notre Dame is a really good football team that played 2 really good football teams to start the year. If they played both of them again in a consecutive order right now, they wouldn't lose to both.
I'll say they're probably favored in both games.
They wouldn't lose to both. Now, listen, there's a lot of ifs, ands, or buts in that. How about Miami jumping in this conversation? Because the closer Miami gets up here, the more the head-to-head. For God's sakes, I hope so. Because why are we even playing football if the head-to-head doesn't matter as the most important criteria? Because they have their criteria that they deem important. And the committee's criteria is head-to-head is one of the biggest, along with strength of schedule, comparative outcomes of common opponents, and other relevant factors, whatever that means. More vagary, more gray. But Miami, they're not going to play for the ACC championship unless the ACC just ACCs, which it could happen. Who knows?
It's so far from a possibility. But it's still possible. Yes,
it's possible.
It's possible. Non-zero chance. Non-zero chance.
Back to the 9-0 chance. But they'd benefit the most if some other things happen. If they can get in that Notre Dame cluster, if they can get compared to Notre Dame head-to-head, obviously they'll have a legit gripe to be ahead of Notre Dame because they beat them.
I think if it's sort of truth serum to the committee, and if you could hear in the conversations, they're probably sitting there thinking like, "Hey, Miami, go just destroy these, win these last 2 games by 30+ points, and then some other stuff will happen." And we'll be able to just put both of you in.
Yeah,
I think that's what they're hoping happens, that Miami. But like we talked about, the way this is working, the ceiling for Miami is they're either the 10 seed or they're not in the playoff. Likely,
yeah.
Unless Georgia Tech wins out. I think if Georgia Tech wins out, they might be higher, and Miami could be an 11 seed. But for the most part, like, because the ACC champ is going to likely be the 11 seed, the G5 will be the 12. They need to be at 10. To get into the playoff.
Well, and how about our boy, Juracek? He goes, comparing Miami and Notre Dame, he's like, well, Miami has 2 worse losses than Notre Dame does.
But one of them is 2.
Hey, bud. Hey, bud, is this thing on? Like, they lost to them. Like, they lost to them. Like, they literally lost to them. Like, I get it, and if you want to make a case, like I just made a little bit, like if they played now, maybe Notre Dame would win. Maybe they'd take care of business. But like, I really need you to,
hypotheticals there.
I really need you to say, like, okay, they lost. Like they lost to them. I would love to hear that, man. So Bama plummets from 4 to 10. And then I just happened to look on that outside looking in, man. And I'm just looking at Utah just banging around right there on the outside, like sitting there really, really pretty in case something happens, which we know we've seen with this season. And that's the one for me I don't understand. Like, I don't get that one. I don't know why, but I don't get why Utah is ranked as high as they are. I feel like there's something, obviously the dominance against a couple of teams that they may perceive well, but it ain't nobody that we've seen that's up here in this mix. That's for dang sure. Because the two teams that are up here in this mix went open hand. BYU did not. BYU was a good competitive game, but no. Texas Tech, obviously, they knocked them back till next week.
My guess is that game control metric has a lot of weight. And that's basically just how bad you beat the people that when you beat them.
Yeah.
I bet because I bet their game control number is actually high compared to some of these others.
It is. No, it is. It's a high number, but
there's also probably a reason why that number is high.
I mean,
I think
we're talking about Arizona State. Like that's what we're gonna hang our hat on. Like Arizona State's the team that we had good game control over. When they played more competitive teams, it hasn't been that case. I mean, they beat TCU. They slapped TCU, and they beat Iowa. No, they slapped Arizona State. They slapped Cincinnati, who continues to plummet. They lost again last week, and Baylor. And then they got destroyed by Texas Tech, and with a backup quarterback, which hasn't looked like he got hurt, but that QB came back down to earth and didn't look human. I don't see that.
The other big picture thing, though, is they value the – oh, go ahead.
I don't see that when I look at Vandy, who's beaten Missouri, beaten LSU, Missouri's in the top 25, which I think is a debate too. Like Missouri, Tennessee, some of those teams at the bottom, how you look at that, because like Tennessee – well, first of all, let's finish Vandy. Vandy beat Missouri. Vandy beat LSU. And I think they lost by 16 to Bama. They lost by 3 to Texas. So their losses weren't atrocious. They lost to, a decent team and a really, really good team. But I feel like Vandy's shown me more than Utah's shown me. Like consistency, beating better teams. Now, they haven't slapped people around like BYU has with Arizona State and UC, but I would say I don't have the same respect for Arizona State and UC and Baylor. I'm sure y'all can get upset with that, but remember Auburn beat Baylor.
Yep. I do think, though, that they're showing love to the Big 12.
Yeah.
With Houston being back in now, with Houston's 8-2, Arizona State being back in, and then how high they have BYU and Utah. Like it does set up a scenario where it's might be hard for them to leave an 11-1 in the Big 12 championship BYU team, depending on how it goes this week. But there'll be losses, there'll be chaos, because there are always losses, and there's always chaos. USC could throw a big monkey wrench in all this weekend, and we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. But
I think the Oregon was probably the biggest surprise with that. Was just okay. Well, they got one loss, so I think they took the easy way out instead of saying who they beat, how they could get around it. And then the group of 5, like all you need to know is whoever the American team is next in the pecking order, just throw them in there, because that's 3 weeks in a row with Memphis, USF, and now Tulane gets thrown in there. I mean, so obviously a lot of love.
Haven't been watching James Madison enough.
No, apparently James Madison's not good enough. We had.
I think he's ranked in the AP poll, aren't they? James Madison, ranked in the AP poll.
They were ranked. They were the highest ranked team in the AP poll, but their game control apparently hasn't been good enough. They played Louisville. It was a really good game. I enjoyed watching that game. Like they pushed them to the brink. But good old rankings. I would say this is the first time I've looked at it in a while and been like, I don't agree with a lot of this. So,
I mean, if teams, the thing that's always interesting to me when you look at these, especially late in the season, is projecting ahead if all these teams win out, if there is no chaos, if there is no, from an upset standpoint,
it's a waste
and
of
you've
time.
got a
because
10-2 Miami, 10-2 Vandy, 10-2 Bama, 10-2 Notre Dame. Like, just
here's what
possible.
you know. You know there's going to be a bunch of 10-2 teams that are fighting for the mix. Like that's what you know. Like there's going to be those. And then and I think the biggest question this sets up is how do they approach conference championship losses? Because you might play in the conference championship, and because you lose in the conference championship, you might lose out on playing in the college football playoff. And so, I mean, to me, it's kind of a debate, and we can kind of go there next too. But like to me, it's do you want to play in the championship game? And if you're Ryan Day and company, Ryan Day talked about it, and I thought it was a good answer. He was like, "We're trying to get there. We haven't been there. Like all these kids on my roster haven't played in the Big Ten championship game." And I'm like, gosh dang, they haven't. I think they haven't played for it since 2020.
Because Michigan has beat them every year.
Yes. So like that matters to them. Texas Tech, are they a team that if they're in the championship game and they lose, they're out? Like I can't imagine a world where that should happen. Like
to a team they likely beat already.
To a team they've already, slapped, like already beat up pretty good. So like, I think that we're looking like ACC. Can they get themselves out of a bid? Like, do they lose a bid because of they've got to rank that person ahead of the other team? Like, there's so many. Like Alabama, if you go to the SEC championship game and you lose, are you out? Like, you're a 3-loss team now, sitting on the edge. Like, there's a lot to digest there, man. Like. I would definitely like if I'm certain fan bases, I'd be like, I'm good. I'll take the rest because nobody can get hurt. I still have a chance to go play for a national championship, which is the most important thing. But when you start a season, coaches are definitely programmed. They're like, number one thing, win your conference. You build your team to win your conference. I get that. I'm like, as a fan of my team, I'm like, rather not play. I'd rather rest, not get anybody hurt, and then my seating is where it is. I get to host a playoff game maybe if I'm right there on the edge. Like, you get all kinds of good stuff.
The local team, they might go, like, they're 4th right now, Georgia. And they might go and not play for, 5 weeks?
That's not good. That's not good.
If you go and if you beat Georgia Tech, you're 11-1 and not in the SEC championship game, and you're the 4 seed, you're not playing again until New Year's Eve.
Well, and think about how do you handle it with Ohio State and Indiana, because they're going to play for the Big Ten championship. How do you handle it with A&M? Like Georgia's in. Like Georgia's in the playoff even if they lose to Texas Tech. So there's so many things right here. Like you're playing for a bye. You're playing for bragging rights. You're playing for the trophy. Like, those are things that, like, those teams, I'll be interested to see how they handle the situation. Are we going all in? Are we playing every snap? Are we doing everything we can? Are we Ohio State going, this is our competitive game that we need? We need something to come down to the end? Like,
I also do wonder, is all this going to change? So here's a hypothetical for you. Texas Tech is a 12-1 Big 12 champion. And Georgia's, 11-1. Do they flip-flop them? And or like Indiana as a 12-1 non-Big Ten champ, do they get dropped to the 5 seed? And you move those teams who are conference champions up a little bit in a way, and you value that and all that sort of thing. It's going to be fascinating to see.
Fascinating. All right, where are we going next? We're going to get some picks?
We're going to some picks.
Pick me. Let's go.
Nugget platter. Which, first off, I saw Deuce is checking in from Seattle, so appreciate Deuce Breakfast Club.
Deuce,
like that's early because that's obviously 3 hours behind us right now. Nugget platter this week: USC at Oregon. Play, and we talked about this the other night. Is this a playoff game? It definitely is for USC. Do you think it is for Oregon?
USC up a few notches in the rankings. So closer to being in that mix. If you go beat 7, I'd say that's pretty good odds of you jumping into the mix. Like you beat a good team. USC, man, I think they're probably kicking themselves about the what ifs, but they're probably still excited about being where they're at. Mm-hmm. And listen, it's all about USC's offense, and it's all about, to me, it's about Lemon and Lane. Like those two guys. Oregon's got a good pass defense, but when they played Indiana kind of had their way. Like, Indiana did a good job through the air. Indiana did a good job creating balance. This is another good offense. And so I'm very curious to see this Oregon defense. I think they're good, but is this a shootout? Are they good but not great? Are they average? Like, I think they've got some big dudes up front that are good. I think the secondary is pretty good. I think I think everything's pretty good. But are they great? Like, I love we get to see. Guess what else the committee gets to see? They saw Notre Dame play USC. Notre Dame's right there in the cluster. Oregon gets to go play USC now. Like, this is more information that we get to glean. I love USC's offense. I love their safeties. I think they're really good in the middle of the field at safety. I think they're ball hawks. They see the ball. Can you cover the other guys out wide? And that's where Illinois had a feast. They've given up stuff up the middle with their DTs in the running game, and they've given up stuff out wide at the corner spots. And so against Oregon, can Oregon continue what they did last week now that they got a few weapons back? But I think this is going to be a really good game. I do. I like this. I think we're going to get a pretty high-scoring, fun game. This is not going to be the Iowa competition we saw a couple weeks ago.
No, it feels very much like an old-school Pac-12 game where both teams, kind of like when Oregon played Washington those couple of years and it was 34-31, it was 37-34, something like that, where it's both teams are kind of in the 30s. But you talk about USC on offense. They're one of the most efficient teams in college football. Yards per play, success rate, they're top 15 in both explosive and passing and running percentage.
Balanced. Yep, balanced.
But Oregon is also number 1 in the Power 4 in explosive run percentage allowed and number 3 in explosive pass percentage. They don't allow explosive plays. Can you, if USC doesn't get those explosive plays, I think they can sustain offense because the way they balance and the way they run the ball, but I'm not certain. And also, home versus away is a thing for USC. Like we talked about, when they went and got the win, what was it, at Nebraska? Like how
it was actually big.
Like because of them being on the road and how much they've not played well on the road. This is at Oregon. And I'm happy for Gary Danielson again. Like every time that he gets a good game, I'm happy because this is on CBS on 3:30. So I think I'm almost certain it's Gary Danielson. Game of the week by far. I think it's going to be a great game. I got the Ducks.
I got the Ducks too because
34-28 for me.
Because of one reason. I think the pass rush for USC, I haven't seen enough guys that are getting to the quarterback and making life hard. And if you don't for Dante Moore, it's not just the first play, it's the second play. It's the ability to take off and run. Now, I think he's hopefully a little bit healthier too, because the Iowa game you saw him take off and it was like, that didn't look good because he took off and then, pulled up and ran out of bounds. But I think it's that. I think can they pressure Dante Moore? Oregon's offensive line is really good pass blocking. The physical, can they meet the physicality of USC and Oregon? But I do think that's what's been fun about USC this year is they haven't been punked like in the past. Like when they played Michigan, Michigan didn't just line up and run it down their throat, which I think is a good sign. Like it's a good sign it's going in the right direction. Mayava's played incredibly well, but I got the Ducks. I definitely think that. I think they'll take care of business, and now this puts one feather in their cap, and then when they get the other one against Washington, now they get that one. Now I feel like, man, they deserve to be in the 7 hole. Like,
then they're a lock.
I feel like that would be. I feel like they'd earn that spot of where they're at.
I did look to see if like some of the receivers that didn't play a week ago were going to be back, and I haven't seen anything definitive.
Well, Sadiq's back though. That's
I know
good.
he's
so
back.
that
helps in a big way.
He's the most athletic tight end in all of college football. That there's not a debate about that.
All right. Speaking of, we talked a little earlier about the craziness that is the ACC. We know definitively one thing can happen from Pittsburgh at Georgia Tech. If the Yellow Jackets get the dub, they are in the ACC championship game. That I did confirm and look that up to be sure because of all the various scenarios. But
then they get to what's their reward for getting in the ACC championship game? They get Georgia next week.
Yes, in the
How
bins.
about that? Like, that's crazy.
How much longer do you think that game exists, given the way the playoff structure is?
Yeah, I
Think
don't
it
know.
stays?
It has to stay. You have to keep Georgia Tech. Like, listen, we've seen rivalries. We've seen rivalries go away. So, I mean, I would love to. I like to keep it. I think it should stay, but I don't have that decision-making power. But I think that I think it's interesting that when you look at the Georgia Tech team, they played pretty decent defense early in the season. They've fallen off big time. They've gone down a cliff. It has not been as good. But this Pitt game, what it boils down to me, because Pitt's good at stopping the run. That's great. They've got great numbers at stopping the run. That's fine and dandy. I'm sure Brent's got some PFF numbers that are fantastic. Haynes King's a different animal. Like, Georgia's run defense is elite. Next week, Haynes King's going to get his. Like, he's going to get his. Like, it's just the way the offense is structured and how good he is. So I think this is a good game, but one has Haynes King and one doesn't. Now, Mason's going to be a good player. I like the way he plays a little backyard football, scrambles around. I'd love to see him not make as many mistakes, but he's a freaking freshman. One's a freshman, one's a senior. One's played a ton of football, one hasn't. And so you can't expect him to be at that level of Haynes King. This is a high-scoring affair. This is a fun game. This is a shootout. But Haynes King gets the ball last, and Haynes King does what Haynes King does, and Georgia Tech wins the football game. But they're both in the 30s to me.
I agree. Odd little sound there. But in terms of all the things that you think about in this game, it's at Georgia Tech. Senior versus freshman QB, all those things. But then it's like, okay, C.J. Bailey had 340 and 2 touchdowns against the Tech's defense. Dylan Lonergan, BC, 362, 2 touchdowns. Heinschel has had 302 TDs in 4 of the 6 games he's played. But he's also got 9 turnover-worthy plays in the last 3 games. But guess who doesn't get turnovers, like, at all?
Georgia Tech.
That is Georgia Tech. They are 129th in the FBS in turnovers that they've forced.
You know why? Do you know why they don't get Tech? Or get turnovers? Because they don't pressure the quarterback.
Yeah.
When you pressure quarterbacks, that's how you get turnovers. Like, when you make quarterbacks uncomfortable. Every time I watch a Tech, I'm watching BC last week. I'm like, can anybody win? Like, who's going to get to the passer? Like that, because obviously that's what I did. That's what I look at first usually. Like, but I'm like, who's going to go get a sack? Who's going to go make a play? And that's why I think this is a high scoring game, because Mason's going to get his. He's going to step up. He's going to pump fake. He's going to do all of those fun things.
I agree, though. In the end, Haynes King, who leads the power forward QBs in rushing attempts and 14 rushing touchdowns, gets one at the end. I've got Georgia Tech 34, Pitt 31.
I don't think people understand, man. If you took Haynes King off of this team, they would have 4 more losses at least. At least. If you put a normal quarterback back there. Like, so when we start talking about this Heisman conversation, like, there's not anybody doing more for their team. Like, we can debate how much they're doing. There's not anybody doing more. Like, they're about to go to the ACC championship game. What they do to Georgia, I'll be interested to watch. But if he has a moment against Georgia, like, if he has a couple moments to end this season, like, don't be surprised if Haynes King can't win a Heisman. Like, he should be in that conversation.
Okay. I was thinking, I thought you were just going to say that he would be in New York, but you just said win.
Yeah.
That's a different level. All right. We both got Tech. Missouri at Oklahoma, which is now a ranked game because Missouri's back in the rankings. I looked at a bunch of things with this and wrote a bunch of stuff down.
Oh, did you really?
And then I like, all right, it's still Matthew Zollers as a true freshman playing at Oklahoma against Brent Venables and that pressure.
Even though this is pretty easy for me. Pabula's name has been echoed in chambers about possibly coming back. But here's the thing. What makes Bo Pabula is his wheels, and he won't have that athletic ability if he came back. But I'm with you. I don't think we need to waste a lot of time on this. But this could be another good win for Oklahoma. Here's the thing. You also had a big win last week. How professional are you? Like, how do you bounce back? But how to beat Oklahoma, to me, if you're going to beat Oklahoma, you've got to make big plays in the passing game. You got to take advantage of their aggressiveness. A true freshman, again, a freshman. We just talked about Mason. Now you got Zowers. Like, it's another tough opportunity against Venables. I'm the same way. Hardy rushed for 3,000 yards a week ago. Literally, he went for almost 300, which is awesome. And he is in the conversation too for best back in the country, man. He's been so good breaking tackles, yards after contact. The biggest thing I'll be watching for this, can OU's offense keep just doing this a little bit? Like, last week was meh. The turnovers saved the day. Yes. That won't always happen. Missouri's defense is good. They stop the run. They get you in passing. Wilson and Young, I mean, I don't know where you put them in the echelon of 1-2 punches in college football, but they're up there, man. Like, they're a good 1-2 punch that can make life hard. Oklahoma's offensive line, they look like they're getting better. Do they keep improving? They're going to get challenged. Can they push? Can they find a way to create some balance? Is it just the passing game? Whatever it is, like, all I'm focusing in is Oklahoma. And I think Oklahoma, their defense will absolutely set them up in some good spots. Can you punch the ball in the end zone? I know your kicker wears short shorts, and I know he's good.
And he makes them.
But stop kicking field goals. Like, Can you punch it in? Like, if you want to be a great team, man, like, you need to take care of business. You need to win this game, but the offense needs to show me a little bit more progression. But I got 27-17.
Yep, I wrote 24-17. This is that suit and tie game that we've talked about all season.
Yeah.
Be professional.
Business-like. Let's go.
Put it on. Be business-like, because I think the how do they lose this game? It's basically what happened to, or how they beat Alabama the previous week, where
sloppy
turnovers, special teams, and Missouri forces it and runs with it. All right, another noon game. ACC craziness, because I think SMU still can get into the college football, or into the ACC championship game, which, i.e., college football playoff. Louisville at SMU, noon. We talked about Georgia Tech not being able to create any turnovers. Well, SMU can. They're number one in the FBS in turnovers created. And Louisville likes to give it away. They are 95th in the FBS in turnovers. So it's one of those where what does that trend continue? And if so, SMU is going to be just fine. But the question for me in this game, Chris Bell. Can Chris Bell get in the end zone? Because he had a 3-game stretch there, Pitt, Miami, and Virginia, where he was 31 catches, 440 yards, and 5 touchdowns. There's no touchdowns in his last 4 games. Got to get him in the end zone.
Bro, Cephas is a baller. Like, he's an absolute stud. I think this to me, I think this is a close game. I think it's a good game, but there's one reason why I'm picking SMU. SMU continues to do what they did last year. So you can take out the fluke of the guys they had. I think it's the system. They do a great job of stopping the run. Like, it's what they do. So that means the game's on Miller Moss. When games are on Miller Moss, it's an experience, bro. It's a carnival ride. It can be really, really fun. It can be really, really good. But the downfield passing attack is not great. Georgia or them versus Clemson last week. Like, Clemson doesn't have a great secondary. There's a lot of places to take advantage. Now, listen, their running game I like. Like, Kewan Brown is filled in for Isaac Brown, so it's another Brown. What can Brown do for you? Duke Watson did well, but the vertical passing game is missing. And I think that's Miller Moss makes that one mistake, that one turnover, puts him in a bad spot, and Kevin Jennings and company, they take care of business. They're very solid across the board with SMU. Jennings this year, I've seen some. I know we talked about the other day, like, he doesn't take off and run. I want to see more of that. Maybe it's time to do more of that. But, like, I do love that he's gotten better at the quarterback spot, and he gets the ball out and doesn't make as many backyard plays. Now, I want him to run still, but he clearly knows where to go with the football. And I think Miller Moss makes the mistake, and because of that, it's a 28-27 game, and they take care of business at SMU.
I mean, that would be par for the Louisville course this season.
It's perfect for the Louisville season.
Losing by 3 or less.
Oh, yeah.
I got the same. I think I wrote down 24-20 SMU.
Well, real quick, too, before you go to the next one, homie. Listen, just one thing for us. Like, I had a guy the other day at the Home Depot tailgate thing I did at the Georgia-Texas game, and he's like, "Hey, I noticed y'all don't do the spreads things. We don't do that here. Like that's not our thing. We're not pro gambling. We don't think a lot of good can always come out of it, and so we don't talk about it all the time. So that's why we don't do the numbers and the spreads, and so we try to stay away from it as much as possible. But we still give you the picks. We still got to give you where we're leaning, though.
I mean, I would think that actually makes us unique.
Yes, very unique.
BYU at Cincinnati. The Cougs trying to punch the ticket to the Big 12 championship game. I talked the other night about Bear Bachmeier and sort of coming off, to me, his best game from just efficiency and big-time throws, all of the above, and how much he's been phenomenal as a true freshman this season for BYU. But now you got to go on the road against a desperate Cincinnati team who still has a chance to somehow end up in the Big 12 championship game. They obviously have to win this game to do it.
Cincinnati to me feels like Duke. It feels like I'm not going to be buying in. Like I've given you a few opportunities and I just don't. I'm kind of out. Like I know that they've got a chance with their defense. Listen, Walker and Pryor, they've got to get the run game going. Like, and BYU is not elite like we've seen them in the past. They got some good linebackers with Jack Kelly and company, but like they've got to get the run game going. Because when, as good as Sorsby is, when he gets in predictable passing situations, man, he's not the guy. Like, he's a very good RPO rhythm passer. He's very good at that. But like when it's got to be precise and you've got to beat, I guess specifically like when it's good coverage, like can you throw a ball against good coverage?
Tight windows.
And that's one thing that I think that's missing a little bit in his game. He's still good. Don't get me wrong. Listen, I'd also argue this. I don't see their wide receivers beating a lot of people either. So puzzle, like you get open, like it makes my throws a lot easier. When you're always covered, it's not as much fun. But so you got that piece with Cincinnati. But I think with Bachmeier, like, because remember, we did a deep dive in them weeks ago, and we talked about that offense. Like, it just keeps evolving. And it was very specific early in the year in how it was designed to protect Bear and to make those throws easy over the middle of the field. You're starting to see, man, like he's throwing the ball all over the field. And he is freaking good. And I feel like we've talked about that enough on this show, man. Bear's a baller. Like, he's really, really good. So this is an instance where I gave it to you a second ago, and I'm like, hey, I don't want the freshman. I want the senior. Well, Sorsby's the senior. Bear's the freshman. The freshman's on the road. I want the freshman.
Give me the Bear.
Give me Bear. I just think my spirit animal, Rockin' Foe 7, it just he has the different ways that he can beat you with his legs. Obviously, in the power that he can do. LJ Martin and him together. I like BYU to keep it going. I think it's like 28-20.
I agree. I got BYU as well. Chips and dip game, not the marquee. Fired up to dig into it. Kentucky on a 3-game winning streak.
Heater, baby.
At Vanderbilt. Hey, this is one of those sort of bottom feeder SEC games for a lot of years. Nope,
oh, yeah.
Not this one. This is big.
Yeah, this was who was going to finish last in the SEC. Vandy, man, just think about Vandy and think about what they have in front of them. 8-2, Tennessee on the docket, playoff possibility on the horizon. Can you be professional now? Like this, I know Kentucky's not looked at very well, but here's the thing about Kentucky. If you watch Kentucky, the one thing Mark Stoops has always had, whether you like it or not, whether you like him or not, they've got some guys that are physical. He's a Midwestern guy that he coaches hard. He's tough. Every coach in the country will tell you how much they think he does a great job. All the lines of scrimmage, they can win the lines of scrimmage. They can hit you in the mouth repeatedly and play physical. And that's one thing I think when you've seen Vanderbilt the last 2 games, I think it's Texas and Auburn, they've given up a shoot ton of points. That defense is not what it was. Like, I think it's over 70 points those last 2 games. And the pass D has been struggling. Kentucky and Connor Boley is not.
Cutter.
by any stretch Diego Pavia, but the last 2 weeks it's gone like this. And it might have something to do with competition, but it probably does. But they're more in a rhythm, and the passing game at least creates a little bit of balance. And that's where I think Kentucky can bang around a little bit this game and maybe make it interesting, like Vandy used to do to everybody else in the league, like kind of hang around and make you sweat a little bit. But I do have Vandy to continue the streak going. Pavia's passing, interested to continue to watch him because his passing's kind of heated up the last couple of weeks. And there's one reason why. It's simple. Stowers left, Stowers right, Stowers in the middle. Like, I think he's got like 19 catches the last 2 weeks. Every time I'm watching the games, it's like, all right, big third down, split 9 out wide, run a slant. He catches it. Like, contested, he'll beat people. He's got he's got the feel. Remember, he played quarterback at A&M. He was a quarterback recruit and then went to New Mexico with Pavia, and that's the reason they're together now, and he's there, and that dude's one of the best players in the country, and they're like, all right, players over plays. Like, I think in the big moments, and so Stowers continues to feast and eat because that dude's a problem.
If you're a Georgia fan, which decent amount of Georgia fans happen to tune into us, I think Kentucky beating Vanderbilt is kind of part of the deal for you to get into the SEC championship game, even if Bama and A&M win. So
what else has to happen, or is that just the only thing?
Like one of 8 or something. Like, who knows? It's a long list, but yeah, that could potentially do that. But you talked about Cutter Boley with Kentucky so once they played Texas. So since week 8, last 5 weeks, he has a better overall PFF and passing grade in the last 5 weeks than Marcel Reed, Trinidad Chambliss, and Ty Simpson. He's playing well.
Who did they play?
He's playing well. He's playing well. Don't crap on his positivity. Like, he's playing
better.
Well.
He's playing better for sure. I think it's. I get it. I just want to see if he has those hundos to flash and go through like his predecessor before him. Calzada showing those hundos.
The non-zero chance for Vanderbilt lives. Vandy wins. I think the bye is actually, like, them not playing last week and defense having a bye, I think is going to be big for them. All right, a couple of veggie tray games that will actually be good games, and you will dive into them, and others will skip because they aren't into the veggies. Quick ones: Hawaii at UNLV. The Mountain West Championship game is not yet decided. Dan Mullen, friend of the program, could potentially still be there. Or Washington State at James Madison. Which of these games are you more intrigued to see?
JMU. I mean, I know it sounds weird, but JMU's in this thing, man. Like, JMU has a chance to crash the party, man. I'd love to see them continue because they're playing good football. Like, I like their brand of football. Now, listen, are they going to beat somebody in the playoff? No, probably not. But like, the way they run their system, their physicality, their multiple quarterbacks, they're fun. Like, they can do some things to make things very, very interesting.
Well, it was interesting when you look at how they've played the season since the Louisville game.
They've kind of changed it a little bit, yeah.
Well, Barnett was the throwing guy in the Louisville game, and Sluka came in and literally just ran. But since then, it's almost like they did that purposely to save Barnett from that game. Because now Barnett is truly QB1, been that way the rest of the season as a runner and a thrower. But yes, I agree. I think James Madison is the game to sort of dive into here. And I do think they get the win, even though Washington State has made some people sweat.
Are they favored, Washington State? That's because I feel like if I'm, I don't care. They don't answer the question. But like I feel like, to me, I feel like James Madison's I would bet them. I would think they would win. Like I'm thinking they're a better team.
You would pick them.
Huh?
You would pick them.
Yeah, I'm not saying now I'm messing with my vernacular because we talked about that earlier. I'm just saying I would bet on James Madison and their culture.
Yes, I agree. So normally we do the cooler games, that'll kind of be on ice the earliest. There are way too many to count this week. It's a lot of games where you're going to see some 30-point plus dubs for some teams. So let's look at some possible upsets. I'm going to go 2 groups of 3. So we'll do 1 pick in each group. So first group of 3, old school Big East game: Miami at Virginia Tech, Kansas State at Utah, or Arkansas at Texas. Which of those three would you pick as your upset if you had to pick one of those three? Or none. I'll give you the none option.
I don't feel strong about any of them, but Arkansas is a scoring juggernaut. Like, they can score. Now they've cooled off a little bit, but they can score. Kansas State, you typically think good things about. Like, maybe this their Super Bowl. Maybe they rally and find a way to compete. But
Virginia Tech basically beat Miami last year, but it got awarded to
that was
Miami.
A weird one. That Hail Mary, that
Yes.
was weird. I'll go Kansas State at Utah.
I'll go Arkansas at Texas, just because does Texas fall off the cliff after that loss to Georgia? Maybe not. But, one thing's just one quick Texas comment. I'm just rewatching the game because I do for the UJSports.com and write about it and all that. Arch needed to be
Superman.
Early in the season. Arch. There were multiple plays in that game where early in the season Arch takes off and gets chunk plays, like 20-plus yard scrambles, because there's no one in front of him. But he hung in the pocket and threw the football. So if he's going to hang in the pocket, throw the football, it makes them more beatable, I think.
Because he's not getting the most help in the country either.
Yep. All right. Other three sort of pack of games here. Tulane at Temple, because Tulane is now, as of right in this moment, in the college football playoff. Michigan at Maryland, and then Tennessee at Florida. Any of those games jump out as a potential upset type game?
I wonder how many people will be in the stadium at Florida. That'll be very interesting to see. I wonder if they pack out and sell that thing out and they're excited. But
maybe to be a different shade of orange. More Tennessee fans.
Yeah. Listen, Michigan.
So
that's
where I was going to go.
Their nonprofit donations last week, like that, they gave the ball away like it was. They were giving it away like it was a nonprofit, like they were going to get something in return. How do you bet on that offense that has continued to? It's not going to pound you as much anymore. Justice Haynes not being there is a big deal. Like, that dude's he's elite. Like, he's so good. Now listen, the connection with the freshman to freshman connection with Underwood is getting stronger and stronger, which is good. But he's just got to take care of the football. He had back-to-back picks in that game that were awful, like right over the middle of the field, right to Northwestern. So Michigan is definitely not a team that I'm going to say they're going to roll their helmets out there anymore and take care of business.
Tennessee at Florida was one that I want to say, I forgot to look, but they haven't won there in a long time, if I'm not mistaken. Right? Anyway, Florida beating Tennessee is also part of that Georgia potentially being in the SEC championship game. So Kentucky and Florida fans, if you're a Georgia fan, you want to go play in Atlanta, which I would guess that actually a lot of Georgia fans are probably like, nah, we'll sit out the SEC championship game and be fine this year.
Depending on how many weeks you got, yeah. That extended layoff obviously can be tough, but you also a lot of times get a lot of people back. But yeah, that puzzle sounds very not promising. If Kentucky, if you're betting on Kentucky and Florida to come through for you against two ranked teams, I'd say that you're probably Bama fans are feeling pretty good about their odds.
Yeah, well, also if you're a Georgia fan, you want to go to the SEC championship game, Auburn just needs to beat Alabama, and then it opens up things much easier. This is one of those weeks where you've got the big time game, USC-Oregon, which is we've kind of essentially tagged as a playoff game, but there'll be some level of craziness typically in a week like this where we're coming on in the first game that we're talking about on Saturday night is some form of upset.
Yeah,
more so than the big game.
There's going to be something
probably
weird. There'll be something that happens that has us talking about because it's college football. And to think about, just think about the teams that are the contenders, like BYU sitting there, Georgia Tech sitting there, and you look about their rankings, Oklahoma in the mix. Like, all these teams are playing teams that they absolutely can lose to. Like,
yes.
They're not playing booger eaters. So that's interesting. And yeah, the USC-Oregon, obviously, but something's going to happen. Something's crazy is going to happen because college football always delivers. It's fantastic. And then I'm sure we'll get to go to that website again, and we'll do all these, we'll do if, ands, or buts, and candies and nuts, and all this crazy
scenarios
stuff.
Be your favorite word, scenario. In this scenario, in that scenario. but it sets up a phenomenal finish to the season. And I've actually seen a lot of comments as it relates to this, just how great the season has been and the level of competitive football that has existed throughout each and every week of college football. Just been a great, like, to me, the sort of arrows, how, hey, this is greater than that. The number of greater thans that college has produced this year for me than the NFL, like, it's no comparison in terms of week to week excitement, engagement.
There's never a comparison. It never has been a comparison. It's always been better. The pageantry, all of it. And now we have the committee to yell at and everybody to get upset. Like our boy John Barron in the chat helped me understand. So Miami would have been better off losing a close game to Notre Dame than winning a close game against USC and they would be in? Or does it only work for Notre Dame? It doesn't only work for Notre Dame. But when we're developing a system and we're talking about a system and the losses are more important than the wins, we got problems. If head-to-head's ever a problem, we're screwed. Like, if head-to-head is not something that is taken into account, that's just, I agree. We've lost some part of the game that we need to find back. But we will be back again one more time this week to discuss all things college football, and then the recap will be on Saturday. We just keep growing, and thank y'all so much for being a part of it, man. We keep getting subscribers. We keep getting ratings. We appreciate all of that, man. This is a lot of fun, and it's been more fun to watch it grow, and everybody getting in the chat, everybody making the comments, and we appreciate y'all sticking with us, and we will see y'all again. Peace.